Karen, I believe you're going to start the presentation. So Karen, let's give Karen an applause, and thank you very much for bringing us here. Thanks.
Okay, thanks Alistair, and thank you Annabelle, who's going to be scribing for us, and she'll be putting up on the screen as we go. Just as an opening, just to really focus us all, our membership as a club is shrinking. Our weekly costs are exceeding our income, and we don't have sufficient funds to continue our full range of projects. We have increasing numbers of members who have worked hard for several years on Rotary projects. Many of those are now less able to be physically involved. Are we still welcoming those members? Are we making our older members feel welcome and valued members of our club? Are we tapping into their knowledge, their experience, their range of community contacts and their ideas? We have been attracting over recent years some younger members, but we're not retaining them all. Why? Those we do retain, are we truly meeting the reasons why they looked at joining the club? Are we really utilising the opportunities on our doorstep? Just cast your eyes down Great South Road and down to Ellerslie Business Park. We've got a huge number of businesses in this suburb of Ellerslie. Why are we not attracting membership from that deep and wide range of businesses? How hard have we tried? These and many other questions we need to soul search about as a club. And we're going to start having that open discussion this morning. Just to focus us, there are 5 avenues of Rotary service as per Rotary International states: club, community, new generations, vocational and international. Right now, Rotary International, our region and the district are all looking at what we need to do differently and better to bring Rotary into the real world of today. We in Ellerslie Rotary Club need to take down our curtains and truly examine what we need to do differently and better to bring our club into the real world of today. So today we're going to get behind those curtains. We're going to look at some more general comments and drill down a little bit into what Alistair was just saying, his online survey that he did mid-year, and the placemats at the changeover dinner. They've all provided some information. We need to drill down to another level behind those. So today's workshop is your opportunity to give voice to your ideas. So a few rules just to keep us on track with the purpose of today. We're here to share ideas, and ideas are exactly that. There are no right or wrong ideas. This is a brainstorming session. We're not here to debate why something might be right or why it might be wrong, or why it might work or why it might not work. We're here just to tip out all those ideas, get those ideas out in the open, and so that we can start thinking. We request that all comments are to be in the open forum this morning, not mutterings at tables, as that stops others from sharing their ideas. It's disrespectful to the person speaking, and it's distracting to everybody trying to engage in the discussion if there's discussion at the tables but not in the open. So remember, in a brainstorm there's no silly idea. Any idea is acceptable to be put out in the open. And a successful brainstorming session is where everybody goes away still thinking through what someone said, thinking through ideas, sparking new ideas for themselves. This won't be the last opportunity for full club discussion about the new way forward. Annabelle's typing up the points as we go. The workshop's being recorded so we can make sure we don't lose any of the key information that's shared. And the board at its January meeting has decided it's going to analyse today's information, and then it'll come back to the full membership with the key themes, potential ways forward, and how we can progress towards making a decision about what we need to do differently and better. These will be decisions for the full club membership. It won't be a small group, it won't be the board making those decisions. These are decisions that the full club needs to make. So let's get started on the generation of ideas. So first question is, why are you in Rotary now? Not why you joined, But why, what's bringing you still to Rotary? What is it that you're wanting from Rotary? What are the reasons why you're in Rotary now? Who wants to kick off with an idea? Who's going to be the first to give us their reason why they're here at Rotary now? Gabrielle?
Each meeting, it's lovely to meet up with all your friends and your friendships that we've had through the years.
Yep, thank you. Robert?
I was just going to say fellowship. And my learned gentleman on my right also says fellowship.
Okay, so we've got friendship, fellowship. What else brings people to the meetings now?
Interest in a speaker?
Speakers? Yep. Grant, you got a thought?
Yeah, I was just going to say entertainment.
Entertainment?
Yep.
Yep. Don, do you want to add something to that?
Yeah, while I was away for 4 months, I read the bulletin every week. And very interested in what everybody was doing. And it's nice to come along to a meeting like this and find out what is happening and how we're helping people. I think everybody gets a good feeling when we've got a success story with one of the schools, with getting a grant from the district, mobility dogs, you know, that sends us away with a bit of a buzz.
Okay, thank you. Willard,
Yeah, doing, well, all the above actually, obviously, but doing good in the world.
doing good in the world? Yep. Bill, what about you?
Why I come?
Yeah.
Well, for all the reasons, you know, just fellowship really. It's keeping contact
Yep.
with everybody, and I just really enjoy it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Bob, what about you?
Yep, I can't add anything.
Nothing more to add?
Good list there.
Okay. Jill, what about you?
I know that I was interested in joining Rotary when I moved to Auckland, to meet people outside of my work circle. But I think that my continued membership of Rotary has been more about being able to maintain a sense of perspective outside of a very introverted industry like health.
Yeah.
And I think that's been healthy for me. So, yeah.
Thank you. Moaza, you're a new member. What brings you to Rotary? What makes you come there?
I joined the Ellerslie Club because right after uni, I didn't know anyone in Auckland, so I thought Rotary would be a perfect platform for that. And I really enjoyed the limited amount of things that I'm able to do in Rotary. The little things that I'm able to do, I really enjoy them. Like I thoroughly enjoyed the Christmas art, the pudding trail, maybe 2 weekends before. Yeah, it's just those little things. And it's a good break from life in general.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Linda, you've been here longer, but not as long as some other people. What makes you keep coming back to Rotary?
I think it's learning about the different opportunities that come up as they come up, and then you can think to yourself, oh, my young, could I get involved with that? So there's always often something new coming up, or like for you it might not be new, you've been doing this for years and years, but for someone like me it is new to me, and so yeah, and just learning about that and going on these things for the first time or the second time or something like that, and it's that networking too that you get with people, and then able to have relationships outside of Rotary, because you get to know people who are into the same sorts of things as you, or just enjoy your company and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's a whole range of things, but I think the biggest thing that I really enjoy compared to other organisations is that fact that the service is it can fit in with your timetable. So if you've got a lot of time, you can jump on in with stuff, but if you don't, you can step back.
Yeah.
And that ability to not commit or to just optionally go in is so works for me in my work that is full on and full off. So it's a really good fit for me.
Okay, thank you. Ray, you've been Rotarian for a long time. Why do you keep coming back?
I think for the Auckland area and nationally and sometimes internationally, meeting other people who are able to share their lives and their experiences with you.
Okay, thank you. John, you're a more recent member. Why do you keep coming back?
It's on the one hand the consistency that stops the rest of my life from overwhelming me completely in a way, and that's only partially funny. And it's also the amount of new ideas and different opinions that I get from some very intelligent people around in the club that opens your eyes to other opportunities and other points of view. So it's that fellowship part of it as well.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Alistair, you're relatively new to this club, but you've been in Rotary for a long time. What is it that keeps you coming back to Rotary?
Well, I'm the president, so I've got to. No. Very similar to what Jill was sharing, actually. In my role, I can get very isolated. So coming and meeting with others is really, really valuable. Also, and I think so the relationship is really, really important. I also love what Linda said was around, there's some things I can choose to do and things that I can't because of the timetable, whatever. And there's no guilt associated with that. So that's two reasons to keep coming.
Okay, thank you. Rashida, you've been a member for a long time. What makes you keep coming back to Rotary?
For me, it's a fellowship and enjoying people's company around and doing good on projects which I'm involved into. I enjoy doing that stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Just take a look at these things here that people have made personally, with a little bit of hospital. That's what I enjoy.
Yeah. Seeing what people can contribute. Sylvie, what about you? You've been a Rotarian for a long time.
My Rotary badge gives me opportunity, legitimate opportunity to network for the improvement of whatever project I'd like to be involved in. So it's a much bigger focus than what I'm hearing here.
Yeah. So
I joined for my badge because that opens many, many doors to improve communities, whatever.
Right, okay. And John, you've been a Rotarian for a long time. What makes you come back into meetings?
I have been quite a long time. I think this year makes 55th year.
Wow.
Rotary. And that's over 3 different clubs. Started in Panmure. Panmure Club had 120 members when I joined there. It dwindled away to 8 in the end, and they couldn't run a club on that number. That was sometime after I'd left. I went to Otahu for about another 10 years, and then I arrived here because breakfast was more convenient. I have for many years thought of Rotary as my window to the world. And if that window closed, I'd miss it. So here we are.
Thank you. Rob, is there anything you want to add?
Well, like John, I've been in Rotary for over 50 years. My story's pretty much the same as his. But when you're young and enthusiastic, you want to get involved in projects. As you get older, you're less able to do the projects, but still enjoy being with like-minded people and the fellowship. That's why I keep coming back to Rotary.
Right, thank you. Is there anyone sitting at the tables that I've not asked? No, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, Don, yes?
One thing that hasn't been mentioned is the speakers. And during my absence, I've been a bit pissed off on the odd occasion because I've looked at the bulletin and thought, oh, I'd like to hear that. You know, it would have been loved to have been here for mobility dogs. The quality of the speakers is well above what you would expect with such a small group. We're blessed. And, you know, you get a wide range of topics. And that's one of the things that is important to a club such as ours.
And you've segued us nicely into our next question, because what's working really well in the club? So you would say speakers?
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
Thanks,
What,
Ray.
what else is working really well in the club? Willard?
We're, as an organisation, we instigated mobility dogs. We actually donated the funding for the first dog they ever had. So we've done these things. Another one would be Christmas puddings, which while was sold out, has been a highly successful club project for many, many years. And more recently, our IRCs, leading the IRCs packing program. So I think we certainly pull our weight as far as just activities are concerned.
Yeah, thank you. What else is working well? What have other people got to say that they feel is working really well in the club? Robert?
I just think that our whole operation is very slick. I think, you know, that the way that it works is great. Our biggest problem is our lack of numbers. And, you know, I think we do, as a club, really do a good job. We do a good job in looking after the charities that we have, with the small number of people that we have. And you know, our challenge is to get more members. And you know, someone raised the point, or you raised the point, that we've got all of that commercial up just a bit down the road and up the road. We should be targeting those companies to try and get, you know, people to join.
Yeah. So
But
let's
I don't exactly know how you do it. You know, I think probably you have to have an open day. Then first of all, you've got to find the names. You know.
Yeah, but let's park that. Thank you. We'll park that one, because at the moment we just need to really focus on what is working well. That's somewhere we've got to go. So what else is working really well? Linda.
One thing that has really struck me, and that when somebody asked me, oh, what are our projects about, is that just about all of them work in with other Rotary clubs. We don't operate alone, and that synergy that we get from being part of Rotary, the wider Rotary, is huge. When you think of that, we can send our kids to Moona from our local school, and that's not run from our project. We work off other people's efforts, and it's reciprocal, because other clubs get the opportunity to sell our puddings or to be involved in our works type of thing. So there's a feeling of coordination. I feel like there's this coordination that's going on, and it's gaining a much bigger, more opportunities and more of an outcome, because we work together so much.
So the economies of scale of working together?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep, thank you, Linda. What else is working well? What else do people feel is working really well in our club?
I think what I like about it is we get introduced to smaller charities through the guest speakers and that sort of carry on. And the smallish amount of money that we do give them really does make a difference. And you can go away from the meeting and think, well, you know, we have actually helped those people. It's a physical appreciation that they show. And you know, it's not the big organisations that run by millions, but it's all dedicated personal working of those people. And yeah, we do make a difference to those people, and I really get off on helping those people.
Yeah, making a real difference. What else do people feel? Muaza?
Just from a different perspective, just to bring in a different perspective. I've been to clubs in a different part of the world, and what I see different in this club is everything that's done here, all the projects, everything that's done here is very genuine in the sense that it's really meant to make a difference in someone's life or maybe a group. But what I've seen is, and what I did not appreciate in some of the things that I've been engaged in the past, is that it's more like being a tick box approach.
Mm-hmm.
Just to tick that off so that we get the district award. Just to tick that off, just to make the, just to make sure that we get that, yeah. So it's a very different. It's in a very good way. So it's very very. I like it because it's genuine.
It's a really interesting perspective. Thank you, Jill.
I think the thing that works really well here, and in my previous life I used to attend many Rotary clubs in the Bay of Plenty with the being involved, the hospice. And I think one of the things here is there's an authenticity to this Rotary club. It's also gender equal. And I'm not saying that to wave a feminist banner, but I think that there is a certain, we could name, the women in this club could name the Rotary clubs in Auckland that you wouldn't bother to visit as a woman. I can tell you right now.
Likewise.
Thank you. Because we've often had an experience of being there, and it's just not pleasant. Because you're not, they don't want you here. The other thing is that I think we act like a service club in a country town would act, not like a metropolitan Rotary club, and I think that's useful.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, I'm just mindful of the time, so people will still have ideas. Please send those in to us. Please send them in to Annabelle and me. If the ideas you have after when you go away, so that we can keep adding them to it. But we just need to try and move through our questions. So the next question is, what is not working well in this club? So Robert picked up before the shrinking membership. I don't think there's any disagreement with that. Grant, what's not working well from your perspective?
I'm finding over the last few years the lack of committee meetings is not working. We're sort of taken apart from each other, and that's always been the strength, I think, of any community of people. When you get together and work with them, that becomes a much stronger, cohesive group of people. So I think getting back to committees would really be a good thing anyway.
And exploring that a bit further with you, are you talking about evening committee meetings, or are you talking about we could actually utilise one of our club meetings a month or every few weeks for committees?
Personally, I think, when I remember back to my early days of Rotary in those first couple of decades, the joy of visiting people in their homes in the evenings and getting to know them and their families added so much strength to what we were doing. Much more motivation to be part of something.
Thank you. What about other people? Sylvie?
I think we have quite a lack of democracy and a lack of collaboration and a lack of inclusion in decisions. And that's a major for me at the moment.
Okay. Do you want to say any more about that?
Communication, the bulletin is wonderful, and both Grant and Wiser are doing a fantastic job, but there's a whole lot of other stuff that seems to go on below the level somehow that it's sometimes a surprise when you hear about it, and I don't feel that because I'm new to coming back, but I don't feel that I knew anything about it or had any say in the decision. I'm not saying the decisions were wrong, but I think a healthy organisational culture is very dependent upon democracy, collaboration, inclusion, appreciation, and I think those things, since I was here some years ago, I think those have dwindled. I still think, when I've spent those years in another club, coming back here to the warmth and the appreciation of everybody's contribution. And someone mentioned the female thing. It was like, well, I knew how Moses felt wandering all that time in the wilderness because it came back and he was all these lovely people, you know, that, yeah, I mean, no one has ever in this club made me feel like a woman. I just am a Rotarian, and that's fantastic. And that does not happen in a lot of clubs. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
So that for me is a real big issue at the moment, that consultations, democracy, collaboration. Yeah.
So would you like to see a meeting?
I don't like how we do it.
Yeah.
I think the how comes after what.
Yep. So
What do we
you haven't
want?
got any fixed
Then
ideas?
I think we need to say how.
Yep. Okay.
And some clubs are having one meeting a month, which is strictly business meetings, which do seem to work quite well, but that's another story.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Thank you.
You've got no
Thank you for that
burning
opportunity.
Yep, thank you. Willard?
Yeah, club assemblies, it's part of Rotary, and we don't seem to be having very many of them.
So club assemblies, for people who don't understand what, you know, because Rotary has
It's
its
an
own
opportunity.
language.
It's an opportunity for the board to report back to the members on what's happening in the club, and also for the members to have their say about what they're happy or unhappy about.
So it's the business of the club being discussed by the club.
Well, that should happen 12 weeks after changeover. We still haven't had one.
And maybe more often, but that's our next level of discussion. Okay. So what else is not working for people? Grant?
And please don't take this as a slight, but I mean, repeating directors, I think is not a good idea. We've got to give back to, and I know a lot of the reasons we did those things over the last few years, but we've got to give back to making sure directors are changed every year.
Absolutely.
That was when numbers were higher, it's harder.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter if you continue to have the same control and the same ideas and the same things just repeated or just excluded from others taking part. That's not valuable.
And Rotary means rotation, and that is how we are in the business of growing people as well as our communities, and that means our people. And I'll never forget when I first joined this club, I was 1 year and I was a director. I was scared, you-know-whatless. I thought, how on earth am I going to ever, because all these high-powered business people in the club. But that was such a learning curve, and the trust that was put in me as a new director, I thought, my God, I've got to work hard. And so that just changed me hugely. And I'm ever so grateful to Rotary for that. And this club did that.
Okay, thank you. Ray, you had your hand
Yes, it's the first item on there, the lack of members. And with respect to speakers, the attendance has been falling off quite markedly in the last 2 or 3 years. And what we're tending to get to is perhaps a lack of credibility for the club.
with the calibre of the speakers.
The calibre of the speaker, and then taking them out of their very busy whirlwind existence and having to work on dates many months in advance.
Yeah.
So the key problem is the lack of members.
Yeah, lack of members. Alistair,
Oh no, just 5 minutes.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Right, so we'll move on to the next question. So if you could change one thing about our club, just one thing, so I'm going to go around everybody. If you could change one thing about our club, what would it be? Who wants to kick that off? Grant?
Visibility.
Visibility as a club?
Yeah.
Yep, okay.
And that goes across Rotary as well. It's
Yep.
not just our. It takes a lot of energy, a lot of, commerce takes a lot of time, money and effort to make that happen, and that's just something we don't have.
Yeah.
It's difficult. Visible.
Okay, we'll carry on around your table. Don, what's the one thing you'd want to change?
More members.
More members, okay. Jill?
It's more about Rotary itself. I think Rotary needs to take a really good glance at whether it exists for the wider world or whether it exists to maintain an institution. So I think it needs to modernise. I think It's irrelevant to my 35-year-old son. He loves coming along. He loves Rotary. He's enjoyed it. But he wouldn't join it because it doesn't fit with the new model of existence.
Yep.
So I think it's got to modernise.
Yep. Thank you. John, if you could change one thing, what would it be?
That's a curly question. I don't think I'm ready to answer that.
Okay, I'll come back to you. Sylvie.
I agree with everything that's been said, but I think probably our venue and breakfast.
Okay, thank you. Rashida, what's the one thing you want to change?
A little bit of more fellowship.
Okay. Moaza?
I think one thing it's more because of my personal circumstances at the moment. So it's nothing to do with the club. So I don't think I have anything to say.
But I think it's really valuable because you're a young person with a young child, and that's potentially some of who were looking to join. Jill's made the comment about her 35-year-old son who's got little children as well. What is it that makes it difficult? What needs to change to make it easier for you people with little children to be members?
I don't think Rotary needs to change. I think they just need to grow up fast. It's them. I mean, it's not Rotary. Yeah, like I said, it's my personal. Yeah.
Keep thinking about that though, because there probably is some stuff that Rotary could do differently and better to make it easier for parents of young children. But might put you on the spot now, we'll come back to that.
Well, I used to be able to give a lot of time to Rotary because when I didn't have a child, when I was like, when I had all the time in the world to give. But then after I had her, I mean, it's just been very limited. So.
But that's absolutely critical what you've just said, because you haven't changed in wanting to give and do stuff, but your circumstance has. So let's just park that and we'll come back to it in the future. But we need to think about what do we need to do differently to accommodate that circumstance. Because down in that business park will be a whole lot of people like you. Rob?
I think we've got to be realistic and look a bit further ahead than 2 or 3 years. I think we can change our venue, and that's going to give us a little bit of extra time. But I think the only answer ultimately is to join another club.
Okay, you've signalled something really important, so thank you.
That's what I see as the future.
Yeah. Robert, the one thing you would like to change?
I think what I'd like to see is the club marketing itself. And somehow or other we've got to get the visibility of our club out there. I mean, we do the odd things, like the Christmas parade down there, that sort of thing, but, you know, we really hide our light under a bushel, in my view. We don't, you know, we're not visible. People don't. And they wouldn't, you know, if somebody out there wanted to join Rotary, how would they find us?
Yeah. Thank you. Linda, what's the one thing you would change?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like, I feel if people knew what I know, they would join.
Yeah. Yep. Very succinct, pertinent statement. Thank you. Gabrielle.
But the other thing too is that I would like to see more projects happening. So new initiatives or new things getting underway might actually bring in new people. You get people in a different thing, like for example, this project that we're trying to put together of with the pest eradication. It's bringing in people in with experience in the area. So in a way, the visibility and the new projects could almost work together, and that you could advertise to the community that we're about to embark on this new thing. Please think about joining for the new project.
Yep. Yep. Good thought. Gabrielle, what's the one thing you'd like to change?
Desperately the venue. I'm looking at the times.
Okay, thank you. Bob, what's the one thing you'd like to change?
I think more consistent membership, people coming to meetings, so
Okay, thank you.
enjoy it.
Thank you. Willard, what's the one thing you'd like to
Everything's
change?
covered there. Yeah.
Sorry? Okay.
Everything's covered.
It's all been covered. John?
You've probably got the further comment to what has been said here. The comfortable place that is the consistency that we have and that we enjoy, the coziness of arriving at, say, the meetings we have in the morning, to a degree is perhaps what also is a stumbling block for others looking in. And so there needs to be a balance in there somewhere where we actually do reach out more into the community, even with our meetings and those sorts of things, as well as having that comfortable spot that we have at the moment.
Yeah, important point. Yeah, thank you. Ray?
Just want to take Rob's point a bit further. If you look in the local versions, unfortunately we don't live in Ellerslie, so we don't get the Ellerslie papers, we don't get the magazine that comes out covering what goes on in Ellerslie. But what we do get is Hurricane Packering Times, and we get another one called something Eastern Courier. And in there, clubs and organisations are consistently in there every week, talking about what the latest thing is that they're going to have next week and what they did last week. And we've had some brilliant scribes, terrific bulletins, and newsletters have been terrific. But it doesn't go beyond our club membership. Whereas if we worked alongside the Eastern Courier, worked alongside Hurricane Packering Times, we could be contributing bits out of that bulletin into weekly newspapers. And that would tell people what we were up to, which then brings in, you talk about pest control, for example. We made an award to a lady whose husband was the managing director in New Zealand for Fishermen Rifle. Could we leverage off that? What actually happened? She came along, we gave us a Aussie Cup or something like that. But her and husband are moving in a different circle altogether.
Good point. Yep, thank you. Bill, what thing would you change?
I would like to see a lot more senior managers on the whole industry around here invite or make them want to come and be community based. What you can do with if a senior manager in a company can use the resources of that company, and hugely, where we are relying now on physical, what we can do physically. But I think the Rotary originally started with a group of business for getting together, and as a network of business people, you can do marvellous things.
Yeah, really important point. Thank you. Alistair, what one thing would you change?
I think we've got to go to committees, but open committees, and more open projects. So generally speaking, people will join because of a relationship with the Rotarian, rather than just look at a website and rock up. So I think we ourselves need to change. We need to keep our eyes open, our ears up, and involve people. If we're in a committee, for example, invite people along to a committee meeting. It's less frightening perhaps than a club meeting, and then invite people along to projects, because it's the relationship, not only in Rotary but across a lot of organisations, it's relationships that brings members. And somebody said, I think we've got a little bit cosy, it's lovely to see one or two, but I think each of us needs to take a responsibility to replace ourselves, each year.
Okay, thank you.
Well, not replace ourselves, but
Grant, last comment.
Sorry.
I think cost is another thing too.
Thanks, Jill.
I'm quite certain that the cost of our breakfasts and maybe some other ancillary costs are putting some people off coming.
Yep. Okay. We need to stop there. Thank you all very much. There's absolutely valuable information we've gathered. This is not the last conversation. The themes will be pulled together. The board meeting in January will look at these, and we'll come back to continue the discussion. So we have some joint decision across the full membership of what happens next. So thanks everybody. Thanks for everybody contributing. And thank you, Annabelle, for keeping that all up.
Hopefully it made sense, and I was
just
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
grabbing the salient points. If you feel something is terribly wrong, let me know. I can change it.
And our two-part
Yeah.
things will be part of the next discussion.
Thank you.
I think we'll actually send those notes out to everybody before the board, because I think it'd be really, once you see the notes, you can then add or underline or whatever, and then perhaps send them through to myself. But I think, we don't need to wait until the next board meeting. Let's get these notes out and let's keep the conversation going. So two things. We're not having a real sergeant session, but please fill out the slip on the table before you go.